Did you know that nearly 70% of people cite unmet expectations as the root cause of relationship struggles? Now, what if there were a simple habit capable of closing that gap? A habit so transformative it could ease conflicts, build trust, and bring peace to any relationship, whether with a partner, friend, or colleague. Relationships shape nearly every aspect of our lives. From romantic connections and close friendships to family bonds and professional collaborations, we all crave healthier, more fulfilling relationships. These connections can bring immense joy, comfort, and purpose, but they can also bring pain. Misunderstandings, unmet expectations, and unspoken frustrations are common. Maybe you felt the sting of someone letting you down or the frustration of feeling unheard. Perhaps you've noticed growing distance in a relationship you once deeply valued. Often, we can't pinpoint where things went wrong. We try harder, give more, or demand more, yet the gap only seems to widen. But what if the solution wasn't about doing more or asking more? What if it boiled down to changing one simple thing about how we approach relationships? Ancient Stoic philosophy offers a powerful answer with a life-changing habit. This habit can ease conflict, promote understanding, and transform relationships, starting with how you perceive them. It offers a practical method for improving connections with those around you. So, what is this transformative habit? Stay with me. It's simpler than you think and could change everything. Before we begin, please subscribe and tap the notification bell so you never miss out on more inspiring content like this. Let's dive in. What makes relationships difficult? When we reflect on relationship struggles, it's easy to blame external factors: a partner's poor communication, a friend's inconsistency, or a colleague's missed deadlines. Yet, beneath almost every relational challenge lies a deeper issue: unmet expectations. They're universal, unavoidable, and often invisible until the pain they cause becomes undeniable. How many times have you thought, "They should have known"? Maybe when your partner missed the signs of your bad mood, a friend forgot your birthday, or a coworker failed to assist during a stressful project. The frustration doesn't stem just from their actions, or lack thereof, but from the unspoken belief that they should have acted differently. In romantic relationships, this often surfaces as the silent wish for a partner to read your mind. "If they truly loved me, they'd know I needed help right now." When they don't meet these unspoken standards, it can feel like a betrayal, even though they may not have known those expectations existed. Friendships are no different. Perhaps you've experienced disappointment when reaching out during a tough time only to receive a lukewarm response. You might think, "They should have been more supportive. If the roles were reversed, I'd be there for them." Professional settings also reflect this dynamic. Maybe you felt annoyed when a coworker didn't meet your efficiency standards or when a boss overlooked your hard work. These scenarios all share a common thread: the gap between what we expect and what actually happens. Why does this happen? Expectations are like invisible scripts we've written for others without sharing them. We assign people roles, lines, and actions in the play of our lives, without informing them. The problem? They often don't know the part they're supposed to play. Even if they did, they might not be willing or able to perform it as imagined. At its core, expectations feel natural to us because they are shaped by our upbringing, past experiences, and personal values. If you grew up in a family where birthdays were celebrated extravagantly, you might expect the same from friends. If punctuality is important to you, a late coworker could feel disrespectful. While these expectations seem obvious to you, they might not even register for someone else with different life experiences. There's also a psychological element at play. Expectations provide a sense of control. They help us predict behavior, offering comfort in an unpredictable world. But when reality doesn't match our predictions, it creates discomfort, a feeling we often direct toward those who let us down. Holding tightly to expectations can be emotionally exhausting. It creates tension between how things are and how we believe they should be, breeding resentment, frustration, and disconnection. Think about the last time someone failed to meet your expectations. Maybe your partner forgot an anniversary, and you felt ignored. Or a friend didn't respond to your text quickly, leaving you feeling unimportant. Perhaps a coworker failed to deliver on a task, forcing you to pick up the slack. In these moments, it's not just the unmet expectation that hurts, it's the story we attach to it. When a partner forgets an anniversary, it's not just about the date. It feels like a reflection of how much they care. When a friend responds slowly, it can feel like they don't value the friendship as much as you do. These stories amplify the emotional impact, turning minor disappointments into deep wounds. Over time, these unresolved feelings accumulate. The resentment you feel toward a partner for not noticing your needs, the frustration toward a friend for not being there, the irritation with a coworker who misses deadlines, they all build emotional walls. These walls don't just block others, they isolate you, leaving you feeling lonely and misunderstood. Worse yet, unmet expectations often trigger behaviors that further damage relationships. You might withdraw, stop communicating, or lash out in anger. These reactions rarely resolve the issue and instead create a cycle of unmet expectations, hurt feelings, and growing distance. The truth is, everyone has been on both sides of this dynamic. We've all felt the sting of unmet expectations, but we've also let others down, whether as the friend who didn't respond fast enough, the partner who forgot something important, or the coworker who missed a deadline. It's rarely about not caring, but rather navigating our own unseen burdens and challenges. Here's where Stoic wisdom offers a solution. The principle of detachment isn't about indifference or ceasing to care. It's about letting go of what you cannot control, especially the behavior of others. As ancient philosophers like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius taught, we should focus on what is within our control, our thoughts, actions, and choices. Applying this to relationships means shifting your mindset from what should they do to what can I control. This subtle yet powerful shift relieves you from the exhausting task of trying to influence how others behave. Instead of expecting others to fulfill silent roles, you begin to accept them as they are, flawed, complex, and navigating their own challenges. Detaching from unrealistic expectations doesn't mean lowering your standards or accepting poor treatment. Boundaries and respect remain essential in healthy relationships. However, it frees you from the unnecessary pain of holding others to standards they never agreed to meet. By letting go of this need for control, you create space for deeper connections, compassion, and genuine understanding. And that transformation? It's worth striving for. By focusing on what you can control, your actions and reactions, you can greatly reduce emotional turmoil caused by outside influences. Think about how often frustration arises in relationships because we expect people to behave a certain way. These expectations are shaped by our internal beliefs, not reality. When a partner doesn't respond with the enthusiasm we hoped for, when a friend cancels plans at the last minute, or when a coworker submits work that doesn't meet our standards, we often interpret these moments through the lens of our expectations. The result? Resentment, disappointment, and unnecessary conflict. Detaching from these expectations helps us see situations more clearly. Instead of dwelling on what someone should have done, we can focus on understanding the situation as it is. Perhaps your partner was distracted by stress, your friend needed rest, or your coworker did their best within their limitations. Removing the filter of expectations opens the door to empathy and understanding. This practice also fosters a deeper sense of freedom. When you stop tying your emotional well-being to how others behave, you reclaim your peace. No longer is your happiness dependent on whether others meet your unspoken standards. Instead, you become grounded in your own values and choices, creating a more stable foundation for your relationships. As the philosopher Epictetus wisely said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. In relationships, this means recognizing that while you can't control how others show up, you can control your response. Detaching from unrealistic expectations isn't something you can master overnight. It requires mindfulness, patience, and a willingness to examine your thought patterns. Begin by becoming aware of the expectations you hold in your relationships. Often, these expectations are unspoken and automatic. With practice, however, you can bring them into the light. Ask yourself, what am I expecting from this person right now? Is this expectation realistic or fair? Have I clearly communicated my needs, or am I assuming they should just know? For example, if you're upset that a friend didn't call on your birthday, pause and reflect. Did you assume they'd remember? Did you express that the day was important to you? By challenging these assumptions, you create space for understanding rather than resentment. Open communication is crucial. Many expectations go unmet simply because they were never expressed. We often expect others to intuitively understand our needs, but this is rarely realistic. Clear communication bridges the gap between your desires and others' actions. Instead of thinking, "They should know I need help," try saying, "I'm feeling overwhelmed. Could you support me with this?" Instead of assuming a friend knows how much an event matters to you, express it directly. "It would mean a lot if you could be there." When you communicate your needs openly, you give others the opportunity to meet them. If they choose not to, you can respond based on their actions, not on unspoken expectations. Another key is to shift your focus from controlling others to living in alignment with your own values. If generosity matters to you, give freely without expecting something in return. If honesty is important, speak your truth, even if others don't reciprocate immediately. By focusing on who you want to be, you eliminate the need for external validation. The power of detaching from expectations isn't just a philosophical concept, it's backed by psychology. Research shows that our brains form expectations to make sense of the world. However, these expectations can lead to cognitive distortions, such as mind reading, where we assume others should just know what we need. Detachment helps counteract these tendencies by refocusing on what we can control: our thoughts, communication, and actions. This shift reduces the influence of cognitive distortions and negativity bias, allowing us to approach relationships with greater clarity and emotional resilience. Detaching from unrealistic expectations isn't about giving up on meaningful connections, it's about embracing them as they are. It means releasing the scripts we've written for others and allowing them to show up as their authentic selves. Consider the story of Sarah. She grew up believing a father should be emotionally available, protective, and expressive with his love. However, her father, James, was quiet and distant. Though he worked tirelessly to provide for the family, he rarely expressed affection. Birthdays passed without acknowledgement, and Sarah grew resentful. After James forgot her birthday again, Sarah confronted him angrily at a family gathering, asking, "Why can't you be the kind of dad who shows up?" Hurt, James retreated into silence, deepening their emotional distance. That night, Sarah broke down, feeling emptier than ever. Journaling her frustrations, she asked herself, "What am I expecting from my dad, and why?" She realized her expectations were shaped by idealized images from movies and friend stories, not reality. James wasn't a character in a script, He was a product of his own upbringing, where emotions were rarely shared. Providing for his family was his way of expressing love. The next time Sarah saw her father, she shifted her approach. Rather than expecting a warm embrace or an apology, she focused on what she could control, her mindset and actions. She started small, asking about his day and genuinely listening. Though his responses remained reserved, Sarah noticed a quiet warmth beneath his words. Over time, as she continued to express gratitude without expecting him to change, their relationship began to grow authentically. This transformation didn't just change Sarah's relationship with her father, it altered how she approached all her connections. She realized how often she held others to invisible standards, expecting friends to always be available, partners to anticipate her needs without asking, and colleagues to meet her high expectations flawlessly. By letting go of these invisible standards, Sarah found freedom. She stopped expecting perfection and began valuing people for who they were, not who she wished they would be. This mindset shift is a powerful example of how detaching from unrealistic expectations can transform not just one relationship, but how we connect with everyone around us. Letting go of these expectations doesn't mean settling or giving up on people. It means seeing them clearly, without the distortion of our assumptions. Rather than feeling hurt when a friend forgets to call, we can choose to value the times they do show up. Instead of resenting a partner for unmet expectations, we can focus on open communication and mutual understanding. Detachment is about accepting reality while still taking responsibility for your emotional health. If someone's behavior repeatedly crosses your boundaries, it's not about excusing it. It's about responding in a way that protects your well-being. By shifting your mindset, strained relationships with family, friends, and even professional connections can soften. You step into empowerment, releasing the weight of disappointment and resentment. This liberation allows relationships to grow authentically, without the pressure of unrealistic demands. Take a moment to reflect, are there expectations you're holding on to that might be causing unnecessary frustration? The next time you feel upset, pause and ask yourself, am I expecting something that isn't realistic or hasn't been communicated? Detaching from unrealistic expectations is a lifelong practice, but one worth pursuing for stronger, healthier relationships.